Did you get those $50 lunch tokens to everybody?
I thought you were doing that, John.
Nope. I forgot.
Hi, Kirsten.
Hi, how's it going?
Good.
Good.
Are they looking at me or you or the screen or what are the crowd seeing
Probably
at this
all of
point?
the above, right?
Oh, all right. Great.
Like it's kind of slowed down with people jumping in, and there I just blew it. Give it another minute or two.
Thanks, John. All right, let's get the show on the road.
You want to do it?
Better now than never.
All right. Well, welcome everybody. This is IFMA Central Iowa Chapter. And today I'm pleased to introduce John Waldron. He will be talking to us about electric vehicle charging stations. John is a licensed professional electrical engineer with Shive Hattery Architects and Engineers. His responsibilities include designing electrical power distribution and generation, lighting, fire alarm systems, and electronic technology systems. He's also become a subject matter expert on arc flash analysis and has completed over 200 analysis studies over the last several years. His latest thing is electric vehicle charging stations. EV is the way of the future. And today he will be walking us through what we need to know before installing EV charging stations at our facilities, and I think even at our homes if you have any questions. So with that, John, take it away.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. And just want to thank Andy from formerly KJWW for being on. He taught me everything I know about these things. So I'm just trying to take it to the next level. And we're actually pairing up on a similar presentation a week or two from now. But the overall concept or desire from me for this particular presentation is to make it more of a discussion, because I am learning a lot as we are experiencing quite a few of these project opportunities. So an interactive opportunity would be best for all. I see Ken Setzgorn is on here, and he runs Mid-American Energy, obsessively, relentlessly at your service, which he is at all times.
That's good.
See there you go, cool. So a lot of friends and people that I've worked with over the years are on, and hopefully they'll jump in and help me out if I start struggling or point out some flaws. But either way, the foundation of this is maybe a year ago, I really didn't believe that this was a real thing. As of the last couple of months, I am fully engaged in multiple projects where there's a lot of lessons learned that are going to be illustrated here, and the magnitude of both the opportunities and the projects and what it takes to make them happen are quite significant, and something you do want to be aware of sooner than later, because this thing is happening. And we'll just jump in. You got a question, you got a thought, you got a comment, feel free to pipe up. That's me. Most of you know me. Hello, hi. So what we're going to try and do here is discuss basic, and this whole EV thing has changed to e-mobility because everybody's getting into it now. So EV is electric vehicles, of course. Trying to talk about what I know at the current time, when we see things happening, what you might want to consider before you get started, and the future is electric vehicle, electric e-mobility, e-mobility, and I'm firmly believe that that's going to happen without a doubt here. EV 101. So let's try and make this a fun situation instead of our typical, COVID lunchtime lunch and learn jobbers over the Zoom thing. Everybody knows a little bit about this. That's why there's, almost, well, 35 people in let's call it a conference. So everybody has either some experience or wants to know about it. You're hearing about it, you're seeing about it in the news. It's pretty much everywhere. So feel free to, raise a hand or put out a comment, or let's have a discussion. We have an hour, I guess, and we're 7 minutes into it. So I'll try and make it brief and entertaining. But don't hesitate to, let me know if you want to talk about anything. So we'll start out with the basics. There's charging at home. I don't know if you can see my cursor, but I assume you can. And that's been going on for a while. And then that's what the majority of the people that buy vehicles are going to do. They're going to charge their vehicles at home. Then the projects we are involved with, we are installing both level 2 and level 3. Level 2 are up to 70 amp breakers, providing a 50 amp circuit, and that's per cable. And there's usually 2 per pedestal. And then there's the larger quick charge, which everybody knows Tesla, of course, but the Caterpillars of the world are engaged in it. It seems that everything that has a internal combustion engine is transferring over to some type of electric motor. So I wrote some notes, which I'm going to read so I don't forget them, but I'm going to ad lib most of this with actual real world stuff that I'm involved in anyhow. Recharging DC batteries. Okay, so everything's a battery, so it's a DC by definition, right? And the Ken Setscorns of the Mid Americans of the world, they produce AC, alternating current. So you need to convert the AC to DC to get it into the battery, charge up your batteries. Electric power, known as watts, function of voltage and current. Bottom line, everyone who wants faster charging will require more power. That's we're already experiencing that or seeing that. Actually, one project we started out with had 40 amp breakers, and then before it was halfway through, we bumped them up to 70 amp breakers throughout. So if you do the math on something like that, that's virtually twice the infrastructure requirements to support twice the power load. So you want to think about big picture things. That's kind of the bottom line summary of this whole presentation, and then adjust accordingly. But look at what everything's going to take and require over the long haul, and then start from there. So we are doing a lot with a company called ChargePoint. ChargePoint is the number one manufacturer of EV chargers, and they have all shapes and sizes and that type of thing. And we're working with their engineering group to do some development of unique situations. It seems like everything is a unique situation, so everything takes a little challenge and opportunity. But again, different sizes are changing continuously because of the requirements in the field. The field being the manufacturers. If we just stick with electric electric vehicles, everybody's in the game. They're all committing to 2025, 2030. They're going to have a certain percentage of EVs out there. So they're all going to need to get charged one way or another. Gas stations are considering changing all their infrastructure to EV charging, but then it's a time situation. Nobody wants to be hung up for more than 5 minutes. The utilities are fully engaged in everything that's going on. They are in the game exponentially at this point. I put on the links to both Mid American and Alliant, which are the two utilities supporting the majority of the utilities supporting Iowa, I guess anyhow. And I'm in full discussion with both of them as far as various projects, opportunities, those type of things. But they are both involved in various coalitions to support and set up the infrastructure. You see a picture over here of a mid-am fast charger, and they have quite a few of those sprinkled around their territory. Alliant is doing the same thing, and everybody is around the country. It's just taken a while to ramp up, and then that's uh, I don't know. They're all excited about it, interested in it. It just takes a lot of money and a lot of effort. So that's kind of what we're having a discussion about this current electric vehicle environment. You see a canopy with a couple of chargers there. That's kind of a typical visual of what people are wanting anyhow, and that's actually fairly expensive to do that type of thing. So you need to budget for it, need to plan for it, need to think about it. And this is another manufacturer of a EV charger, of which there's quite a few, and probably over time things will shake out where there's just a couple of three or four or five top ones. A little bit about what we're have some of the facts. So just I'm not making this up. About 2 million EVs are here as of last year. 7% of adults have those. 40% of adults are thinking about buying one. I'm actually in the market for one myself. And here's the pretty interesting fun fact: EV cost per mile compared to gas-powered vehicle. So this was as of June 3rd. So depend on the price of gas and other things. That's what the government's putting out: 3 cents versus 16 cents, and that's the cost per mile. So we'll get into another maintenance fact as well. So why doesn't everyone have one already? Well, it takes time, takes effort, takes money. This is a pretty massive shift of what we're, the ICE, the internal combustion engine. So there's a whole lot of development going on. Of course, Tesla's been in the game here, 10, 12 years. And now you're seeing, I am anyhow, shipments of these things going down the I-80 all the time. Loads of Teslas. And again, in the news, huge, fantastic. Anybody, I know 4 people that own Teslas, and all of them are fully enamored with their vehicles. I have yet to have a ride in one, but everybody seems to think they are the coolest vehicle going. So you got to take them at their word. And Tesla is pretty neat from my perspective, anyhow. So cost, what does it cost? Well, you buy one for 40 grand, you can buy one for 100 grand, depending on how fast you want it to go, and options and those type of things. Is that in your monetary budget or not? What's a regular vehicle? I mean, a Suburban is 75, a pickup truck is 40 to 50. So uh, speaking of which, Ford has their electric pickup truck now, the Lightning. Range anxiety, I think that's maybe one of the larger things. How far is it going to go versus a tank of gas, and then where are you going to fuel up? That's kind of what we're trying to address here is a little bit is these things are who wants to be the first one out there? Well, the first one's already kind of broken the ice. It's already out there. They're out there. I worked next to a guy that went to Kansas City the other last week, and via his Google Maps, there is a filter to find all the chargers in a particular location. He said so he showed me a screenshot of that from Kansas City. There's quite a few of them sprinkled around. So everybody's addressing it, both public-private and public-private efforts. People are getting in the game as far as being able to charge them, and you can look at Hy-Vee around here anyhow. Des Moines, I'm not sure who's on the call, whatever location, how Hy-Vee's everywhere, whatever. So Hy-Vee will charge you for charging up your vehicle, and so that's a separate cash stream for them. It costs quite a bit of money to develop that infrastructure, but they're charging maybe twice the going rate from what Mid-Am charges them, and therefore it's an opportunity for making money by selling electrons. A lot of innovations are going to come out of this. I mean, it's just growing that fast. So the range anxiety, that we're starting to tamp that down because there's more charging stations coming online. Driver understanding, there's a lot of education going on. That picture happens to show, all the different connectors. Just kind of like every other thing that comes out new, starts out with a lot of different versions. Eventually, it gets whittled down to only a couple standard versions. So the CCS1 is the latest that they're talking about, and that should be what's available on most, if not all, the vehicles moving forward. There's also all types of interconnect uh, adapters, both with Teslas and everybody every other version, to be able to charge your vehicle. It's just you have to have it in your trunk or on hand to be able to use that. And one thing that to note is Tesla is opening up all of their charging stations to anybody and everybody, and so that will just require an adapter. But you can buy fuel at a Tesla charger, and they are already well uh, ingrained in the environment. So if you've been to a hotel or something lately, you look out and you see a glow. It's like 10 Tesla superchargers in a parking lot of when there's a group of hotels. So they're already out there, and everybody can use those now, or at least that's the plan. Dealer under, Dealer understanding. Yeah, that's everybody's learning, right? It's just a giant learning curve at this point. Collaboration, mentioned that a little earlier. Everybody's collaborating with everybody. So there's all kinds of different groups, different entities, different factions. You see some of the names here. They are all, gigantic names, right? And if they're all in the game, then it's going to happen. Amazon, my wife and I are considering getting an RV. It turns out Amazon is taking all of the Mercedes-Benz chassis for their delivery vehicles, and Mercedes cannot even, build a chassis for RVs moving forward, which is kind of amazing. But yeah, the magnitude of this thing is really interesting, overwhelming, and huge, quite frankly. But excuse me, pretty neat, pretty fun, pretty exciting times. Siemens is big in the game. They're a monster company worldwide, and they are participating heavily in it. They have their own version of a charger, and anyhow, they're promoting that, and they just made a commitment here a week ago that they're going to be producing 1 million of them over the next year or two, and that's no small commitment. But anyhow, if I mentioned the term e-mobility earlier, if you do some research or you're into this arena of EV chargers at all, which I've gotten into, uh, anything and everything is going electric. I mean, you see these electric bikes. Yeah, that's a novelty. It turns out, you either have one or you want one. I mean, they seem pretty cool. Motorcycles going electric, cars, of course, buses, uh, you name it. Taxis. I don't know. Taxis. They're going to have what uh, automatic driving, right? AI in the driving. So the taxis won't even have a driver, and you hop in, and it'll scoot you off to the next place. But they're all electric. They all need to be charged or recharged at some point in their situation, and because of that, you're going to be seeing different versions, different varieties all around, and the level or the magnitude of charging, say buses, for instance, trucks, is guest charging. Amenities. We're getting apartment complexes wanting us to provide uh, EV chargers because everybody in the apartment, higher in apartments, they want their own EV charger. I just got this note earlier today, and this was kind of interesting, so I'm just going to read it verbatim. But in a recent AIA convention workshop, carbon neutral design EVs were discussed, specifically mentioned school buses and that districts should be converting to EV bus instead of diesel for net positive efficiency. EV buses cost $120,000, more, which are more than diesel at startup, but cheaper to own and maintain. They brought up storm events and that buses can be used as generators on wheels to power shelter sites. There's an interesting fact. Also stressed the importance of architectural and civil design to accommodate these as needed. So it's much more than just the the pedestal and the cable. There's the full surrounding area you want to consider if and when you're going to do something along these lines. So back to this EV, but your bus being your emergency generator, they're going to have a lot of power, right? So if you can take the power from there and power up your building or whatever you're needing to power up, that's pretty convenient. Of course, Ford has the Lightning, and they promote that concept where you can use your truck to power up your house if the power goes out for up to 3 days. So I don't know what size house that really is, but interesting concept that your vehicle can be a actual emergency generator. What's the timeline? When's this going to happen? Actually, going through this kind of fast, so maybe that's beneficial. But this is a promotional little caricature that we put out in quite a few of our quite a bit of our literature, and it is a pretty neat little ladder of what you want to do and consider in order to achieve success at the end. So we talk about research and educate yourself. That's a stage a lot of people are at this point. Coordinate with the teammates, your teammates, and leadership to determine what, when, where, and how kind of a thing. Then go ahead and create a plan. Come up with a plan. Make a plan. Be a man with a plan. Install a pilot project. The pilot project is what we really emphasize and what we're seeing quite a bit of because the small percentage of what's reality now, and nobody wants to commit fully until they really see it happening. But a pilot plant is probably a pretty wise move. And then, depending on all the changes which are occurring, adopt to reality what is coming, what it takes, and how to support it. So keep be flexible. EV Charter's dynamic. Take an experienced team to develop a good plan. Experienced team. There's not a whole lot of that because it hasn't been around long. So that's something to consider. Then you got the short and the long term. We're talking the pilot, and then adapt to a big picture. Support your success. That's what we're thinking there. So let's go through a particular project that we got involved in. The back to the charge point, they started with the CT 4000 chargers and also pedestal mounted receptacle. So you're charging up a vehicle, right? Um, a glorified extension cord was the original concept of what people needed to do. Well, that's interesting and maybe a kind of a funny way to phrase it, but it is no longer the case and actually kind of a challenge. So if you started here, you're going to get bumped up to here, and then you're going to continue to get bumped up over time, because as we pointed out earlier, the 4000 are the smaller level 2 chargers, and they're up to the CPF 50s and 70s and that type of thing, and then you get to the level 3, which the cats of the world are producing to recharge larger vehicles or make it happen faster. What type of power do you need? The 208, 240 volt single phase is what you're wanting to start with, and this can be achieved or accomplished by your base facility. Where you're at now can probably support a couple of chargers. So a couple of chargers get you 4 vehicles. That seems to be what a lot of people are thinking at this point, because there just physically aren't a lot of those vehicles out there, right? So why do I need to even consider this as a big deal? Because the future might be a big deal. So, but we can start small and lower cost, and then start planning for the future. So big picture, this is another project we were involved in that, as you can see, we went from, excuse me, a typical parking lot to a full-blown engagement of electric vehicle, sustainable, both the vehicles, the power supply to it, and everything associated with it. Level 2 and level 3 chargers, a combination, a hybrid installation, uh, and this is a fleet vehicle situation. So they have different vehicles having different requirements. It takes a whole electrical distribution panel at the end of each row. So, how do you get there? That takes some consideration and thought. And back to the solar piece, solar canopies. Yeah, there's a few of them out there, but each one's kind of unique and different. You want to get your structural people involved, your civil people involved. There's quite a bit to installing a whole solar canopy situation. Again, the Caterpillars of the world make those type of things and can provide full support for when you get started and want to commit to that. You can. Uh, this is shown in multiple different parking uh, locations. You can do one at a time and develop it like a modular type situation, which might not be a bad plan. And then over time, as it goes, you grow with your requirements. Here's another project that we got involved in, and this is a large entity, a facility with quite a bit of vehicles converting to EVs. And you have multiple buildings, you have a lot going on here. Uh, Put down a note, master planning is your key to success. That we had to take the whole thing into account at one time. And then you work with the people that are running the facility, and that's a lot of planning, a lot of effort, a lot of infrastructure. It's just the whole thing's just a lot, as it turns out, to go from electric vehicles to from combustion vehicles to electric vehicles. There is a lot going on, and everybody has their fingers in it, from the safety people to the different departments to the who wants what, where, when, why, how big. There's a lot of that going on, so you want to take that into consideration, because it gets complicated in a hurry, and then people come out of the woodwork when they hear what's going on, and they want their voices heard. So you want to make sure to be inclusive of everybody and everything, and also try and plan for the future as well, which it turns out is pretty challenging, something of this magnitude. And this is just one site, so multiply this times everybody, and there's a lot of work that's going to be need to get done by a lot of people. This is drilling down a little further at that site A, location A, just this one building here. That's that building here. And, everybody's got a vehicle, everybody needs a charger, right? Uh, my gosh, it's super challenging. And then they're under these canopies. And then, as we talked about a little earlier, you have the distribution gear. Then on top of that, we have a generator, which seems interesting. But if the utility, if there's a big power outage, you can't charge your vehicles, right? So you need a standby emergency generator of significant size to be able to support all this distribution of electricity required for getting all the vehicles up and running. Just a little note here. I mean, 2,000 amp services, those are significant. Depending on what size building you're in, that might be bigger than what your building requires, actually, in order to support anything and everything you have going on out here. So uh, if this is wake up call kind of stuff. Um, if you, depending on how many vehicles you have, multiply that times how much power you need, and that can help you determine your overall requirement. And one thing we want to emphasize with that is, when you get a new electric service, is you got to be working with your utility. The utility is the foundation of the whole opportunity for success here, because they're going to get these requests from many, if not all, businesses, and uh, they need to look at the macro picture, right? They need to take everything into account. So there's so many uh, avenues, situations, applications to take into consideration. Is everybody going to be charging at the same time? Probably not. Are they all going to come back at 5 o'clock and plug in, and everybody need a full amount of power? Well, the charge point ones I referred to are they're all networked, so they're all the chargers are talking to each other, and they're sharing power, so they're not hitting you with a big load. But then you get into demand charges, and you know, what's it going to cost when your demand is exceeding, when that's determining your cost of your electricity. So you want to work with your utility, you want to work with the software guys, the networking guys, and make sure everybody can't just pull up and get their full charge right out of the blocks. They need to it all needs to be coordinated and coordinated with their schedule. These are fleet vehicles, right? So they're you're running them 8 to 5 theoretically, and then they're here in the parking lot for 12 hours or so. So how do you coordinate recharging them from whatever level they've got down to? A lot of considerations, a lot of discussions, but you want to include again everybody, especially your utility, to understand how you can use the lowest cost electricity. Maybe low cost electricity starts at 10 o'clock at night or 2 in the morning, whatever, when the utility's down and has can provide lower cost electricity. That then you want to take advantage of that, and depending on the magnitude of what you're really needing. In this particular case, these are Ford F-150s, Ford F-350s, and Ford Escapes. So everything was taken into account as far as how much is going to be needed when, and then you calculate it and figure it out from there. And this particular group we work with has a lot of properties, so they're into it in a big way. So government says electric vehicles cost 40%. So here on the left, the ICE, internal combustion engine vehicle. Over to the right, battery electric vehicle. So it's $1 cost per mile. This was what this particular group came up with. They're saying 60 cents per mile for the battery. Then there's the plug-in hybrid and the hybrid. So anyhow, the people are promoting the heck out of the battery electric. One, because of the lower price in gas, which we illustrated earlier, but also just the moving parts. There's kind of a joke out there. All you got to replace in a battery vehicle is the windshield wipers and the tires. Aside from that, there are no moving parts. So that's pretty amazing if you think about it. When you replace the batteries, well, hopefully they're getting new technologies, new chemistries, new developments are coming through daily, where they're lasting longer, providing more power, easier to recharge. So when do you jump in the game, and what do you have at that point? But this talks about all the various pieces and parts and things that need changing and updating. Um, I just bought a new set of tires for our SUV yesterday, and it was $1,000. So, but she says it's a great ride now, so that's cool. Anyhow, replacing anything on a vehicle costs a lot. It just does, as everybody knows. But either way, the consensus is it costs less to operate an electric vehicle, and if the batteries, Tesla again, they're talking about their million-mile battery. Um, wow, I don't know how long it takes to drive 1 million miles, but you won't need to replace those. I have a Camry 2009 Camry, hybrid Camry, and its batteries have not had to be replaced at all. So that's about 11, 12 years. So I don't know. I'm kind of I'm starting to believe this stuff. Doing a lot of work with it. Probably get into it. All right. So how do we budget? This is a pretty funny movie, of course, and that was nothing but extension cords. When he plugs in the Christmas lights, and the power plant blows up, everything it goes crazy. But you want to get into it with a considerable plan with a smart engineering firm, team, group. The IMEGs, the Shive Hatteries of the world. They know what's going on and how to provide support. Start small. We mentioned the pilot with the future in mind. That's going to be your biggest challenge, your biggest thought, but know that it's coming. scalability. That's a interesting term, but if you can incorporate that into your design, you'll be doing better. Maintenance, it's kind of like maintenance of an electric vehicle. What maintenance does a regular vehicle take? A lot. What maintenance does your electric system take? Maybe not so much. So theoretically, we're talking low maintenance with the both the electrical distribution along with your electric vehicle. So that's something you want to take into consideration. But the equipment you incorporate into your design or your designers do, again, like your facility, you want them to be, top notch and world class providers of the good stuff, and pay a little bit more on the front end, and that will minimize your challenges on the back end, and hopefully it'll, require minimal maintenance. Why the sustainability piece? Of course, that's there. Why should you do it? Why are you listening to this thing right now? Because you're feeling it, you're seeing it, you're hearing it. So the future. I got a next slide, which is kind of fun, but the future is coming on, and for some reason the world seems to be spinning faster. So it might get here before you know it. Employee client satisfaction. That this initially this is amazing to me, but I'm seeing this thing change uh, rapidly. And one situation was we have a hospital we work with, and a doctor has a electric vehicle. And the maintenance guy tells me, that doctor wants free gas, so he, thinks that's kind of wrong. Uh, but the more you look into this, in order to satisfy that doctor, which is probably a top-notch doctor, you just want to provide an amenity, and that will either keep him there or that will attract more doctors like him to their facility. And how much money-wise is the cost of that free gas really in the first place? Probably not a heck of a lot. I mean, installing it would be, considerable amount of money, but this employee client satisfaction thing is getting to be real as far as an amenity. And then these apartments we're working with, I am surprised that we have multiple complexes actually that they're incorporating these things. They're not even talking; they're past talking about it. We're doing it, and that is because the people in the apartments, they're getting the electric vehicles, and there's back to the extension cord thing, that isn't going to work. This is something they have to do, and you don't just pull in and charge your vehicle and then pull over to your own stall. Everybody has their own stall under the building or that type of thing, depending on the caliber of the apartment. So these apartments take quite a few of them, and when they hear the price tag, it's a little bit of sticker shock. They're just going to raise the price of the apartment, I guess, but those are the ones attracting more of the type of people that they want to attract. So employee client satisfaction is getting to be a real thing. Who doesn't have a smartphone these days? Because that's the thing that everybody wants. And it's heading that way with this, it feels like. So we call this evidence, similar to LED lighting. Anyhow, I was over at KJWW when LED lighting started coming out, and what the heck, giant heat sinks and awkward and old reflectors and that type of thing. All right, so that's a little while ago, right? So where are we at now? Holy cow, 100% LEDs. That's all there is LEDs. So I think we're kind of in this visual, but of the early part of the hockey stick of where this electric vehicles are coming in. And of course, we're in the Midwest, which is different from either coast. They are always much more quicker or change things faster, it seems like, than we do. But they're into it whole hog, and we are going to be seeing where the only choice is going to be an electric vehicle or this e-mobility in the not too distant future. So you want to understand that this is coming. I mean, back to the cell phone thing. Uh, back here they were little flip phones or little whatever, uh, goofy little cell phones you couldn't do anything with, and now they're smartphones, and that's all there is. Anybody wants a smartphone. So over a 10-year time period, it will be complete. Why hire a design professional? I hope that's kind of self-explanatory, but this is not funny, but we we got a call recently where a facility put in their own solar installation, and we're pretty proud of it. And they actually it was highlighted in the news and that type of thing. And a day later, the electrical inspector came out and asked for their in order to permit them where their documentation was. And they were smart enough where they could install it themselves. They didn't need anybody to provide any of that design guidance. So more power to them, but they were denied the permit to install it. So they had to find a professional electrical uh, uh, PE stamp, which stamping a set of plans is highly frowned upon. And so you start from back from square one, and work with a design team that can uh, put together everything as far as the calculations and all the proper documentation required to support and promote a new electrical installation, which is what all these chargers are, right? They're all, especially depending on how many. Uh, it takes it from a glorified extension cord to a whole nother level of electrical service. So uh, that's why you want to hire whoever you're working with or whoever you feel comfortable with as far as getting engaged and involved in this EV charger or e-mobility charging situation. Because once you get up to 10 plus vehicles, your current facility is not going to be able to handle it. Utilities, relationship with utilities, that's serious stuff. As everybody knows, it's tough to work with utilities, right? Right, Ken? But Ken makes it fun actually, so he's a pretty cool anomaly. Anyhow, your typical
Mhm.
utility is is they kind of run the show, and you kind of got to do what they tell you to do. And anyhow, you want to work with your utility, and there's some of us on this call here, and including myself, that have relationships with utilities and know how to get things done properly and expeditiously and working with them as opposed to surprising them with anything, and that will not go over well for anybody. And of course, everything's always last minute, and that's always the worst for everybody. So start soon, start small, and just get going. EV charging vendors support upgrades. That's already been a critical one. Somebody installed one type, and then a year later they wanted to install a different type that didn't work with the first type. So you might want to start your foundation with a brand name that will tie together with any future additions. Back to that scalability situation. Siemens, for instance, we're working with them, and they have their building management system actually networks with their chargers, and so it's one big happy network that everything's all on the same network where you can experience, or the facility people can understand what's going on with the chargers along with what's going on with their building management system. The charge point, they all network with each other, and then there's of course apps for those type of things where you can either pay for electricity, but they share the actual power from the whatever's providing it, the main transformer, and so they will minimize any challenges to the system or the distribution system there, because they're talking to each other, and if one's high and one's low, they won't let them both go high to start popping circuit breakers or that type of thing. So. But those are high end names, and they're going to come with a little bit of a premium price maybe on the front end. But again, think big picture, think long term, and when you start needing another 5 more, 10 more, that type of thing, you don't want to start a relationship with another new different manufacturer. Another one we've done, just the magnitude. I keep going back to that term, but it's just eye opening what all this stuff really takes. And you're talking existing parking lots. You're not talking greens. You're not talking where you can just trench. You got to go underneath concrete, underneath asphalt. A lot is challenges of just wiring all this stuff, and that adds up to cost and time and effort, and everything's backlogged as far as getting parts these days. So that's even worse. So maybe instead of going underground, maybe you go above ground. There's a company that I'm working with that has outdoor bus duct. So it could go in the grass system where it's above ground instead of having to trench. And that is a new product that they are coming out with, which is extremely cool and interesting. So there's a lot of new things happening to support this arena. So make yourself aware of what's available and what you need and how to develop a scalable model or installation and where you don't need to install it all right now. Like the solar canopies, you could do just one this year and one next year, and plan a budget around that. The large manufacturers will maintain a similar design where you can add it to increase your the scope of your project over time. A reconfigured parking lot, that was kind of a funny one. Wow, so the larger trucks, they wanna pull through. They instead of pull in and pull out, now that we're charging up, they wanna just pull in and get their charger and pull through. Well, that required 4 foot of space on either side of them, so they had to design the entire parking lot because of, the chargers put in there for in the larger ones, these are the fast chargers and the larger projects products required for the larger vehicles. So they lost 8 feet of parking space. You lost a parking stall for every two with the two vehicles, which changed the whole dynamic of the whole parking lot. And that was because the safety department got involved. So everybody has their hands in it. Everybody wants to make sure that their uh, uh, responsibility is met. And once people start hearing about this again, a lot of people start coming out to talk about it and understand what's going on and how they want the best for their people or their group or their department, and on and on and on. And then wow, it becomes a project unto itself as far as that type of thing. So you want to be cool, calm, and collected. And this is just from our side or whatever. The civil engineers, the structural engineers, electrical, the landscape architecture group, even the architects get engaged for the overall view of everything. How it looks, aesthetics, functionality, workability. These all come into play. And so there's a kind of a snowball, not kind of, there is a definite snowball. Gets to be a large snowball depending on who you ask to come to the meetings. Uh, Challenges, power service, talk to your utility, be in step with them, because that you're going to need them one way or another, and they can help you. They also have rebates. They also can tell you, when power is cheap. Talk to your utility. The magnitude, that term is not taken lightly, because seen it, lived it, where it's a whole lot bigger than what you think. Existing conditions, tearing up stuff costs twice as much as it's just laying into the ground in the first place. So you want to think of where to put it, where, how, why. Uh, Develop your design based on what's there in your particular application. Future, it's 12:50. I'll get scooting, but this one. So I, I asked our marketing group to put together a couple latest headlines. This is freaking nuts to me, but this is the kind of stuff I see every day. I don't know if you guys do, but this is what's out there. So you take a look at a couple of these things. The monster manufacturers are into it in a big way, and that means it's coming down the pipe, and it's coming down hard and heavy. So uh, well, okay, so California, Washington, a couple of states out there, they're requiring you to incorporate battery electric charging infrastructure in your new buildings in order to get permits. So it's a requirement for the IMEGs and the Shive Hatteries of the world to incorporate that into your new building, which it's just change, and it's a requirement. So that's kind of cool, but know that it's coming, and you got to plan your main service based on that, and how many vehicles are going to be there, and how many you're supposed to charge at home and you come to work. Why would you want to charge at work? Well, there's the public part of the equation, then there's the fleet piece of the equation. The fleets, they can't charge at home, they got to charge at work. So Do you put chargers out in the public parking lot? Do you put them just in the fleet side? On and on and on. You can ask more questions than you got answers actually, but just keeps coming. Then we had one the other day where the ADA said we couldn't put the cables in the ADA parking spot. You need a charger for an ADA parking spot, but you can't put the cables in there. So how do you design around that? There's lots of things. You got to go high and come with the cable off of a pole. So much to consider. Don't wait for the last minute, and don't think there's any straightforward answer, because there isn't, that we've come up with anyhow. A lot of unique instances, application specific, but the vehicle piece, the mobility piece is coming. That much I am sure of. Innovation. This is kind of cool and kind of fun, and this is obviously just a when you I forget what it's called when you work the software to lay something over something, but Photoshop. It's Photoshop. There it is. Nice job, Boomer. Anyhow, it's so what's this? This is a charge point charger on a light pole. Well, I talked to the charge point guy and he said, yeah, no, that's real. This picture may not be, but it's coming. And there's another lighting manufacturer in town that's developing the same thing. The other vendors surrounding this area are all getting engaged in a piece of the action, because they are can and will and want to. So innovation, it's happening at breakneck speed. It's really cool and real fun, because everyone just keeps teasing us anyhow with all kinds of new cool things that they have, and I like to incorporate those, but they got to be tried and true as well. So streetlight-based charging, why is that? I mean, not everybody has a garage, right? You can't charge it at home, or your apartment complex doesn't have it. So these things are out, downtown or whatever. I I'm just amazed. New, cool, fun stuff daily. But think about it. Think about opportunities. Think about where you're heading, and how these things might help. You've seen a few of these manufacturers. Well, they're all in. I mean, they're not just putting their toe in the water. They are all in, literally, and it's pretty amazing. The money behind this stuff is just kind of nuts. All right, so electrification of America, 1 million vehicles already, 18 million by 2030. They say that number's actually going up. Electric fleets, on and on and on. Are you ready? Well, that's what I'm here to prompt you to do, is to think about it and get yourself ready, and partner up with somebody that can provide support to you. That is my story in a nutshell. And if you'd like to talk about anything, we got a couple minutes for question and answers, or give me a call, or whatever you want to do. Call Andy. Either way, we're here to help you, because it's going to take more than just Shive Hattery to support the magnitude of what's coming.
Thanks, John. That was really great. That was so much information. Oh my gosh, I'm kind of overwhelmed. Does anybody have any questions
Are
for John?
you ready?
I am, because I know a good electrical engineer.
Yeah, we're actually putting these in our facility. We have them in multiple facilities already, and we have a couple of vehicles per office. We have 10 offices that people are driving Teslas. So it's you want to have a cool place to work and a fun place to work, and that's what it takes to be cool and hip these days.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, if nobody has any other questions, we can cut it off here 5 minutes early. We did record this session, and it will be up on our IFMA Central Iowa Chapter website sometime today, tomorrow, sometime in the near future, maybe next week. I don't know. So if you want to come back and rewatch anything or look some of the things up that John was talking about, otherwise just give John a call.
I see 35 people are still here, so it couldn't have been that bad. So I appreciate everybody's time and support and that type of thing. And if I can help you out, or Andy can, his name keeps popping up. He and I are actually doing a presentation later on, because like I say, it's overwhelming that no one group could support all of this. It's going to take a lot of people to help, but let us know if we can help you out.
Great
Thank you, everybody.
John.
Nice job, Dave. Talk to you soon, man.
You betcha.
Okay, thank you, and see y'all later.
Thanks, John.
Thank you. Thanks, Ken.
Thanks, John. Bye.
Thanks, Andy.